Trump pledges to jail opponents, baselessly suggests election will be stolen from him. They changed the headline. No, I think they changed that. Yeah, they did. The former president's latest threats made in a social media post represent the most overt signal yet that he will not accept the results in November if he loses. Sure, I guess. But what Trump has said was, do they actually even have it? Yeah. When I win, those people that cheated will be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law, which will include long-term prison sentences so that this depravity of justice does not happen again. Trump wrote on Saturday on his Truth Social platform, we cannot let our country further devolve into a third world nation, and we won't.
I don't disagree that he probably wouldn't accept the results if he lost, but I don't think that social media post explicitly says that. And it says jail opponents, but only if they cheat. So
Trump
I feel like
takes anti-cheating stance.
on them.
It's an admission by the Washington Post.
Yeah,
Trump says, I will arrest the cheaters. And they go, he's going to arrest us. What are you saying about yourself there, buddy?
So that's, yeah. But I don't doubt that he would say it was stolen if he lost. But it's just, that's the narrative they have pre-written in their head, in their mind. Well, so regardless of what he tweets out on.
Well, let me tell you. He goes on to say, please be aware that this legal exposure extends to lawyers, political operatives, donors, illegal voters, and corrupt election officials. Adding that people will be sought out, caught, and prosecuted at levels, unfortunately, never seen before in our country. You know why he's doing this? Right now, with Nate Silver's prediction model giving him nearly a 65% chance to win, he's basically saying, make your bet. If you're somebody who wants to cheat, make your bet now. Because it's 2-1, you lose, and when you do, you will be arrested. That's what he's saying. He's not saying, I'm going to lose and then challenge the results. That's silly.
I think that's smart.
I need to be a little bit crude about this, but in some cases, you do have to give it to the Democrats because they actually do what they say they will do, or at least do what the Republicans say they do and won't do. And when I say that, I mean, when Trump was running, leading up to 2016, he said he was going to lock up Hillary Clinton. That was the whole platform. Once he got into office, he didn't even try. He didn't, he didn't send anybody after him. Couldn't, if he wanted to, I'm sure he could have found Hillary Clinton on something, the deleted emails. There are a few things going on. Then when the Democrats got into power, they planned on going after him and actually did. And they went after him in multiple states, on the federal level, on multiple state levels. So they actually have the audacity to go through with what they allege. And here they're sort of just gaslighting you because Trump is actually the opponents that the Democrats are jailing. So it's just an interesting way of looking at the whole thing.
Well, here's the thing with they delayed the sentencing for Trump. And a lot of the speculation is that they were concerned the jailing of Trump would push him over the top.
Oh yeah.
I don't even think he would do it if elected. I don't think he'd go after anybody if elected. It would be the same thing like he said with Hillary.
I'm just saying now, Democrats have pulled back from actually putting him in jail and delayed the sentencing until after the election, which suggests to me they believe Trump is going to win.
100%.
They're not scared of indicting him. They're not scared of different DAs in different states. There's no Democratic hotshot in the back room saying, no, don't start indicting him in different state levels. They're not scared to. We didn't have any audacious Republican in any of these states decide to go after any of these guys. So it's just...
I just want to make sure everybody recognizes where we are as a country. Donald Trump was shot in the side of the head and narrowly survived. I really don't know that people recognize how close to chaos we are.
You didn't say it. Civil war. It probably would have led to...
Well, it's not just that. It's I always like to do the time travel test, right? People, Tim's always talking about civil war. I will stress for the 15 millionth time for those in the back who didn't hear it, you do not want this. People come on the show and they're like, a national divorce would be a good thing. No, it would not. No, it would not. Like, states are going to start fighting with each other. It's going to be bad. You don't want to see where that goes. Foreign influence will come in to start siding with various factions, and you won't know where your milk is coming from. We got it pretty good right now. What you want to happen is for Trump to win. But let's go back in time to 2018, around the first time on my original show on youtube.com/Timcast, when I was saying there's a potential for a civil war in this country. If you went back then and said, in July of 2024, a shooter will fire a rifle at Donald Trump and the bullet will strike his ear narrowly missing his head, killing bystanders, Trump will tilt his head and almost die. People would be like, oh, get out of here. Get out. They wouldn't have believed you about January 6th. They wouldn't have believed you about the George Floyd riots. They wouldn't have believed you if you said a far leftist. If you went back to 2018 and said, in 2 years, a far leftist BLM guy with a communist tattoo on his neck will walk up to a Trump supporter and put 2 in his chest. They'd be like, oh, shut up. These are just street fights. This is normal nonsense protests. And then it happens. And Aaron Danielson gets killed. And then you get the Summer of Love riots. And now we're at the point where Donald Trump was nearly killed. And then it's not even the first time someone jumped the media thing recently. They tried climbing the tower or whatever. You had in 2015, a guy tried grabbing a gun. We are now at this point. I don't know what happens in the next 2 months. But if you think it just ends here, I mean, I just got to tell everybody to be safe, be careful, be calm. And hopefully we don't see, this escalate in any way. I'm hoping that Democrats are making the moves they're making because they're recognizing Trump actually has the probability to win. I am hoping that Trump does win. And I am hoping we actually just get a marginally good presidency from Trump. There will probably be some DOJ investigations. I don't think they'll be super over the top. Some lawyers will probably go to jail. Maybe we'll get some reforms at the state level. I don't see a second Trump presidency being this despotic Hitlerian nightmare that the neocons and the neolibs are claiming. Trump's going to be it's going to be marginally good. The economy will improve. He'll secure our borders. Wars will stop. That's about it.
Raheem, what do you think we can expect from a second Trump president?
Yeah, I think that's about right. I mean, when you look at who's in charge of the transition team and what the kind of priorities are, I mean, this is going to be a heavily economic focused at least for its first 18 months administration. And I think that's exactly where it needs to be. That's what the country wants it to be, quite frankly. I mean, yeah, we've all got our other issues and our pet issues and the things that we care about and are passionate about. But at the end of the day, it comes down to whether or not you can put food on the table, right? And that is what most people in this country are still looking at every single day and going, I can't today. I can't go out. I can't fill the car up, et cetera, et cetera. I'm intrigued, though, as to why we wouldn't have believed all of these crazy things would have happened because, I don't necessarily...
It wouldn't.
Yeah.
I know because I lived it.
Right.
And even to this day, people are still being, oh, you're crazy. And I'm like, hey, when Trump dodged a bullet,
right,
literally tilted his head,
yeah,
everyone else said civil war.
Yeah.
And I was like, hey, don't look at me.
I just think I'm of the Billy Joel school of thought with this. We didn't start the fire is a very good example of how crazy shit is always happening. And there are very few moments of human history where there is genuine respite from wild political, machinations and tugs of war. And this is that. I mean, you are the country that has seen multiple of your heads of state shot at, killed, replaced. Still don't know the details of some of them, which is absolutely wild. The JFK stuff is just mental to me, looking at this country, all of its apparatus, all of the administrative state, and yet you don't know who killed, who really killed one of your former presidents. It's crazy.
So this is a story from 2019 in August. It's crazy. 5 years ago, Princeton professor, we are in a cold civil war. And I saw this and I was like, wow, that's nuts. Because a year prior, you had a bunch of national security experts saying the chance of a civil war in this country was 30 to 90%. It was crazy. And I'm like, how?
It's 0 to 100%.
Well, but 30 to 90 is not zero. It's a 1 in 3 chance. And I think the conclusion was, we could pull up the article, but it was something like when you average it out, it's around a 65% chance. I remember exactly what it was like. Every conservative commentator that I had talked to said, oh, come on. This is just clickbait stuff to get traffic. And my response was, I think that the things we are seeing are a track towards a civil war. I'm not saying it will happen because you can always turn left. You can always turn right. You can always stop the train. But I don't. So a really good example is I had this conversation when the Berkeley riots were happening. And you've got these videos of hundreds of Antifa and hundreds of right-wingers, and they're just bashing each other. And I was like, holy crap. And I was told by a bunch of D.C. conservative Hill people working for Congress and think tanks and all that saying, this is just street violence. Stuff happens all the time. You think the civil rights movement was a precursor to civil war, and it's never going to happen. And my response was, what about when this ideology, which is, in the far left, what happens when that gets into the government? The response I was told is, the security state will never allow this to happen. And look where we are today. It is borderline chaos. They're trying to put Trump in prison. That's how insane things have gotten. The security state won't allow it. The security state has become a faction in the conflict. There's now two distinct factions politically. Like, it's gone to the highest levels of Democrat and Republican. Granted, Republicans aren't doing anything. Democrats are trying to jail Trump and his lawyers.
Would you do the same in response if you were the Republicans?
I think the Republicans should absolutely be upholding the law to an equal extent, not extrajudiciously, just legally. So when New York, for instance, goes after nonprofits in other states, why aren't red states doing the same thing? Why aren't red state? Okay, Act Blue operates everywhere, right? Why isn't West Virginia saying, hey, we got to investigate? Why is it only Andrew Bailey or Ken Paxton? It's like two guys. So I don't think we want to see a country. I'll tell you this definitively. I don't want to see a country where Donald Trump wins and immediately says the iron fist comes down on all of my opponents. Absolutely not. I want to see a country where Donald Trump says, I've got a reasonably minded attorney general and we're going to bring on an AG, and there's going to be investigations, and there'll be actual evidence. It'll be presented. We will have actual trials. And if if there's no evidence and these things are wrong, then nobody goes to jail. I don't want to see any of this. Well, this person I think is bad, so we're going to go after him. No, none of that. I only want equality under the law. We have not gotten that right now. You've got Steve Bannon and Peter Navarro going to prison for contempt of Congress. And then when it comes to Merrick Garland, who's also in contempt of Congress, nothing happens. We cannot maintain a system that flouts its own rules and spits on the people. Where you have Steve Bannon, who is a very prominent, famous populist leader, going to prison for contempt of Congress. And then you have, on the Democrat side, Merrick Garland skirting the rules and nothing happens. This says to the people, the country, that the law doesn't exist. It says only political power exists. It's not sustainable. I think that a lot of these boomers want to live in this petrodollar American hegemonic power world. And it's falling apart. They view themselves, I'm going to use the I Am Legend. Are you familiar with I Am Legend? Sure. Not the movie, the book.
Never read the book.
Okay, the movie's garbage. Okay. The movie has nothing to do with
the movie.
No. Okay, in the book, the point is this. A vampire is a legend. And a vampire hunter seeks out this very rare thing that no one believes is real. In the story, the long story short of it is, as the vampires start converting more and more people, eventually it's now 50-50 humans and vampires. In the end, it's all vampires. They capture him. They put him in jail. Why? He is the monster that lurks around while people sleep, murdering them in their sleep. To him, he's a vampire hunter. Vampires are bad. Right. But in the end, it's just him. He is now the legendary monster who lurks while they sleep and kills their children and their family members. This is what's happening with the neocons and the neolibs right now. They think they are America. So when they arrest Donald Trump, they're arresting those who oppose America. But you know what? I'll give you a better example. They're the First Order in the Star Wars series. The Empire has fallen, and the remnants of the Empire are trying to mount a counterinsurgency to take back the Republic, and that's the premise, and that's what the deep state represents. More and more, Bill Kristol's tweet where he was like, why does Trump have more support? It's because you lost. It's because your worldview and your way of thinking has died out. And now you are just a thrashing wild beast screaming into the wind, demanding respect that no one will give you. 10 to 20 years, it's over. I don't know what the system will be. Maybe it will be bad. Maybe with the petrodollar falling, the economy is going to get worse. I think it probably will. Chinese communist power will probably expand, and we'll see where that leads to. The BRICS nations will create their currency, and the U.S. will be in a position of weakness, but I believe it already is. You can see this moment happen when Blinken was talking to his Chinese counterpart in that meeting, and the guy from China said, "You are not negotiating from a position of power." To look into the eyes of America itself and say, "You can do nothing," that says a lot about the state of this country. And you can blame Donald Trump, and you can blame everybody else. But the reality is Trump won in 2016. And if the deep state was strong enough to maintain the system, they would have stopped him from doing it. And they couldn't because they've lost it. And now they are weakening and fizzling out of power. And in their desperation, they are screaming like banshee babies, banging on the wall and trying to take everyone down with them. I suggest they stop. But I hope Trump wins. And I hope we get legitimate investigations with a calm, rational hand. And we say, sir, it is nothing but you broke the law. And you will be charged and you will answer because we have a constitution and we have a legal process. I hope that's what we get. Thanks for checking out this clip from Timcast IRL. Make sure to watch the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Subscribe to this channel, and we will see you all there.